Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. And now, max out your savings. The more you buy, the more you save on beds, bases, and more. Plus, get free home delivery on any smart bed with base. Limited time. Check it out at a Sleep Number store near you or at sleepnumber.com today.
Well, welcome back to Gopher's Workshop. I'm your host, Aaron, and joining me, as always, begrudgingly, with a smile on his face today, because he gets to be mean to people, Chris.
I'm not being mean to people. I'm just gonna point out how we could be smarter.
That's Chris's way of being nice. I understand.
Okay, so in today's episode land, we're gonna bring up some points, not that are bad, just that I'm not sure people realize. Mm-hmm. People get excited. People get distracted. People don't necessarily spend their full-time job working on 40K.
You're right. This is why we have people like Chris. Speaking of, Chris, what's today's episode?
Didn't I just say that?
No.
Are you even listening to your own episode?
I'm not.
It's fine. Okay. And this is why I scream. So there's a couple of points that I've maybe mentioned in the past on the podcast. I'm not sure, but I've definitely said before that I think a lot of people, like, even when they hear it, they're just kind of like, yeah, whatever. Let me start by pointing out all of the points changes that happen from GW are rarely about balance. They are a majority based upon the whims of complaints they get. They listen to us. They listen to the internet. They listen to Reddit. They listen to all sorts of people, other YouTubers, and they make a lot of their changes based upon that. We've heard people complain about it, right? Like, why haven't they reduced the cost on that unit that's terrible and unplayable? They haven't reduced the cost on it in like a whole year. Not a single person has played it. You know what else hasn't happened? No one's complained about it. Not enough for them to find out about it. That's why the points haven't changed. The thing that goes, like, everyone thinks is crazy good and they don't reduce the price on it. How have they not changed the price on a Blade Guard or whatever else, right? Is like, no, it's crazy. Yeah, it is crazy, but is it? If no one's complaining about it, about how it's broken, they're not going to change the points. They assume everyone's happy that it's good. No, when people complain about that unit's, like, Blood Angels is a great example, right? Like, your Codex comes out. They're like, no, Sanguinius is, holy shit, it's totally unfair. He's way too cheap and blah, 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 blah. And then they upped his points.
Oh, you mean Mephiston, okay.
Whichever one.
You said Sanguinius. I was like, yeah. He's dead.
Sanguinor.
Sanguinor, okay, yeah.
They're kind of the same thing. But, like, everyone complained about it, and then they upped the points on him. And then 6 months later or something, everyone complained about how, like,
he's not even.
Why is he so expensive? Yeah. They, like, overdid it. And now that they reduced the points, they put him back to the original Codex points. So they were fine the whole time? Yes. But they didn't change the points because they thought it was imbalanced. They didn't change the points for any reason that was related to balance. They did it because we asked them to. Because the internet, the community as a whole, said, we think it should be higher. And they said, okay, you got it. And they put it higher. This happens all the time. It is a vast majority of point changes. Now, admittedly, Eldar at the beginning of the edition on Index, right? There's a great example of like, no, they absolutely nerfed those things because the balance was so far off, they knew they had to. But that's like one example. There are others this edition, but they're like, that is the prime example of like, no, that was needed. Almost all the other point changes, were they needed? Maybe. Did GW know they were needed? Maybe. Did they do it regardless of whether or not it was needed because the community asked them to? Yes. For sure.
I mean, you can look at what's happened even more recently with the Knights release.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody threw their hands up and went, now it's a Knight meta and Knights. And they immediately adjusted points on Knights. Yep. Not even like 2 weeks. They haven't even got their codex yet.
Yep.
They ain't even got their codex yet. 2 weeks after the whole points adjustment, they went back and readjusted points again. And abilities and all this other stuff to appease people. And that's the name of the game, right? They're in the business of people pleasing. That's how they sell their product. So of course they're going to keep you, the general public, happy.
But what was the actual adjustment they made, right? It was like less than a war dog.
Yep.
For like most people's lists lost less than a war dog. They're like, I could drop a war dog and gain an extra enhancement, or I could just drop this enhancement, maybe two. Mm-hmm. And that was like it. It wasn't a crazy points change. It was a points change. They did effectively get nerfed, right? They lost points. But it wasn't like they lost a big Knight. Holy shit, they were crazy. They were making the whole meta shift and blah, blah, blah. No, they lost like most of a war dog. The Imperium came out and like, again, they had points adjustments from their codex. What's the real difference between those points adjustments? Less than an Armiger.
Yep.
Yeah, they changed. But when you make every Knight basically change like 15 points, 20 points. Okay, well, that sounds like a lot. That's like 10%. Okay, ish.
Yep.
But even with that being true, when you have 6 models, we're still talking about maybe an Armiger.
Yep.
That's it.
I can even give you a better example of this. And the reason I'm giving all these examples is because I know there's one of you out there listening right now that goes, I think that you guys may be going to the extreme. Here is a prime example of how we are not going to the extreme. Adepticon. Grotmus, or we had our
DACA
detachment was dropped at Adepticon, or right before Adepticon, I should say.
Yep.
At Adepticon, while sitting with GW
themselves, they said, we don't really see how there's a big issue with the detachment itself. There are some changes that need to be made. We concede to that. We don't think it's as overpowered as everybody says, but maybe we're missing something. That's exactly what they said to us. Mm-hmm. And matter of fact, in addition to that, they said, all we're looking for is we're going to wait till after Adepticon so we can get some more information about win rates, etc.
Yep.
So we can get a better idea about what needs to change and how much.
Yep.
That's what they said. That's what GW officials said. People that were for the company that were involved in some of these adjustments. And then afterwards, everyone lost their mind, right? Like I think it was Glasshammer or something.
Yep.
They like banned it before they could even run their event and before GW was decided to make any changes. And then in response, GW did exactly what we asked them to do.
Yep.
The Royal We. They nerfed it so hard that it became worse than other detachments that were already out.
Yep.
Not by a little bit, by a lot. Is it still playable? Sure. People are still playing orcs. But also orcs in general, before the most recent update, were having generally a rough time. So while it was not good anymore, but still playable, that was playable compared to other very kind of not very playable things. So then we talked to GW official again, right? Later on.
Yep.
Talked to him in Nova. Well after DACA. Talking with them, they totally admit, no, we threw our hands up. It was not, it did not need that hard of a nerf. But everyone would not even let GW do their job. So they said, if everyone's going to usurp us, if everyone's not going to listen to our recommendations and let us do our job,
Yep.
all they asked for was an extra week. They asked for an extra week after Adepticon. That's it.
Yep.
And because no one gave that to them, they said, fine, we're done. Jacket attachment's unplayable as far as they're concerned. And they nerfed it into the ground.
And it happened again. And the reason I'm bringing all of this up is because that's exactly again what happened again with the Knights. Knights were starting to get banned from certain, or shouldn't say banned. They were getting banned, but they were getting limitations placed on them for certain events that were going to be ran.
It
and
was
immediately
way less
GW.
egregious, but yeah.
But even then, it still forced GW's hand to go, okay, well, we have to do something right now about Knights, apparently. Again, this all comes full circle to what Chris is saying. Here's your evidence.
Yep. And that's all it is, right? I'm not complaining about these things happened as much as I kind of bitch about Reddit and I bitch about jacket attachment getting overly nerfed and this and that. I'm not even mad that we have this power. Arguably, that's great. Should be good, right? Now, obviously, we can abuse that power, which is objectively the wrong thing to do. But we, at least if we acknowledge that we have that power, that will hopefully, as people recognize that that is true, that will help them control themselves. It will help them keep in mind that if I overreact here, it's going to cause, like, as the Blood Angel player, right? Like, if I think he should go up in points, okay, cool, that's fine. But if I overreact here, they're going to make him unplayable. So I need to bring up that he needs to go down in point or go up in points. But I need to make it clear that it needs to go up in points, not that it's broken. Because if I say it's broken, they're going to nerf him so hard that I can't play him anymore. And then I'm going to feel bad about it. Same for orc players, right? Like you had some orc players saying, it's not that bad. It's like a shooting list and most of our units aren't meant to shoot. So maybe we should do some changes. And then you had other players being like, oh yeah, it's so broken. I'm going back to my orcs and I'm going to totally show everyone how it's broken. And those were the people that got it nerfed so hard that even the players that knew that it was like powerful and needed an adjustment, not that it was broken, those people aren't allowed to have fun anymore. And then the people who jumped and switched over to orcs are now the same ones that are bitching about how, like, well, orcs are unplayable again. I'm going to go back to my other faction. So, and this is, we're talking about like detachments and factions as a whole. This gets to be way smaller even. You can go down to specific data sheets. So I've got some numbers here. In general, we talk about. Oh,
you did homework. You were ready for this fight.
I got sheets.
It's not just up to me to prove you're right this time, huh? You brought your own proof.
I got numbers. So I have just a big long list of comparable stats here.
Okay.
And we're going to compare two units, including two factions, in effect, through these two units about how the math doesn't add up. A lot of this is opinion based. A lot of this has outside factors that aren't actually in the math. So if we compared how good are orcs compared to Dark Angels.
Okay.
I don't think there's anyone that would disagree that Dark Angels are better.
Yeah.
Now, we just got an update. Maybe orcs are going to like take a swing back and like catch back up to the middle group with the rest of us. But the reality is no one's going to argue that Dark Angels are like generically easier to play than orcs, are arguably better in most ways than orcs. So now let's go to a specific unit. Breakaboys and Deathwing Knights are extremely comparable. They are both melee units.
Okay.
They both have anti-monster, anti-vehicle 4+. They both are, again, AP2. They're both strength kind of mediocre, but with the anti, who cares? They're both a flat damage that's kind of low, 2 and 3. Like, again, extremely comparable. So now if you actually break it down by the points, right? Deathwing Knights, which pretty much everyone's going to agree are objectively better, are still considered okay. And this is a really important note. Deathwing Knights are considered good, maybe okay, not great. because Dark Angels as a whole are considered good, not great. There are way more powerful Space Marine factions, especially with all the new detachments and things like that. Dark Angels are good. They are maybe okay, slightly worse than good, but they're not bad. They're still Marines, right? Orcs are considered bad, maybe okay with the new updates. So now we have these two units that are extremely close to each other, and let's go over some actual points. Deathwing Knights, 250 points for a 5-man squad. So that's 50 points a model. They get 4 attacks apiece. They are, again, effectively a very similar profile in the strength, AP, damage, along with the anti, so they're effectively wounding the same. Toughness is the same. Save is obviously different. You get a 4-up save versus a 2-up, 4-up. That's very different. Wounds end up being similar. 3 versus 4, but again, you have the damage reduction on Deathwing Knights. So let's go back slightly and let's look at Breaka Boys. 140 points. About half, little over half, but about half. However, you get 6 models. Well, that means we're down to under half points per model. 23 1/3 points per model. So for every 2 Breaka Boys, you are effectively purchasing 1 Deathwing Knight. So they only have 2 attacks apiece. But again, since you're purchasing 2, technically more than 2, in order to equal a Deathwing Knight, we are back to the same number of attacks per point that you're purchasing. Again, same profile. They're damage 3 instead of damage 2, which makes them technically better. Okay. So then, again, save is worse. The toughness is the same. You get 2 wounds a model for Breaka Boys. Deathwing Knights get 4. But again, 2 and some to equal the same number of points. So even when you consider the damage reduction, you get an extra damage break for the Breaka Boys. So it requires a minimum of 2 dice. You cannot single die the same number of points worth of Breaka Boys, even with the worst save. Arguably, it's the same number of wounds per point, or close to, because of the damage reduction. The Breaka Boys move faster because they move 6. Plus, you have very easy access to advance and charge because it's a faction ability, not even a detachment ability.
Yeah.
So you can keep going down the list, and we're talking about, again, move faster. Technically, if you look at other support, orcs have arguably worse support for specifically buffing that unit because you don't have Oath, you don't have things like that. However, I'm going to argue orcs have better support for the unit because while Oath, again, magical fantasy land where everything is perfect, you could really support the Deathwing Knights and make them feel crazy. But also, you had to take Oath away from other things in your faction in order to benefit them that way. Orcs, they get advance and charge, and that's faction wide. So now you're giving them a buff without taking anything else away. Depending on what detachment you're playing, the Goff detachment, well, now you're giving them sustained in melee. You're giving them, you could give them bonus crits. You could give all the characters give +1 to hit, things like that. You have way more access to different options to put with Breaka Boys as far as characters are concerned than you do with Deathwing Knights. And almost all the benefits that you can give to Breaka Boys are going to be pretty melee focused because it's orcs related, right? So all of these things are going to be really powerful and focused towards that unit. Deathwing Knights, again, you have options, you have different characters, you have different stratagems, but you're going to have access to less of them because Marines as a whole are a more balanced faction. So we're going to keep going down the list, and now you're going to look at, but how do you, stepping back from all of this math that says Breaka Boys are objectively better. Point for point per wound, point per damage output, point per, I don't care. Breaka Boys are objectively better in every way except for one, a single one, and it's arguable, and that's toughness. So when it comes to how hard is it to kill Breakaboys, they're a glass cannon unit, right? Yeah, they're T5. Yeah, they have extra damage breaks. They're better points per wound, but also they're only a 4-up save. They don't have the damage reduction. So Deathwing Knights are objectively tougher. Okay, so maybe we're paying a premium for the extra toughness, right? But what's the premium? We're not that different in points. 50 points per model and 23 1/3 per model. So you, again, 2 Breakaboys compared to 1 Deathwing Knight should be pretty comparable. And at that point, you're talking about a few extra points per model for way more toughness, but you're giving up some damage output. But now that we know all that, let's take a step back and we look at them and we say, even Orc players think Breakaboys are only okay. They're not great. Dark Angels players think that Deathwing Knights are okay, maybe good, but like the first one's good, right? The first one's good where you can put a character with a relic and make them extra special to like deep strike on turn 1 or something. But they're only okay. On a good day, the first unit's good. The second unit's back to only being okay. So how did we end up here? Like how does all of the math say Breakaboys are objectively better, yet we all consider them worse than Deathwing Knights, which we all think are better than Breakaboys, but also again are only okay. They're still not quite good enough. They're definitely not good enough to spam. They're maybe okay if you like support them properly. The biggest thing here, and we're gonna touch on this in the second half as well, but the biggest thing here is after the dust settles, competitively, durability always is a premium over damage output. Damage output sounds great. And again, we're going to talk about this more in a minute, but durability is what is actually key to playing this game competitively. Now, that I've said that, again, I want to touch on this later, but I have to make a caveat to this. This is true, except for glass cannon style factions.
Yeah.
Now, when I say that, I'm referring to GSC. I'm referring to Eldar, specifically the EU version, where it's like, fire dragons, go out, absolutely murder a land raider with like a 5-man squad that's cheap as chips, and then I don't care if I die. And like, again, those high traits, AdMech are a good example. And what should be an example is Orcs. Orcs are also a glass cannon faction. However, they're the only one of the glass cannon factions that leans so hard into Horde, they kind of believe themselves more durable than they are. I've got a 20 Breakaboys with like 2 characters giving them feel no pain and like this and that. And like, no, I could totally run at you and just take some hurt right on the chin and then charge you because I still have enough damage output.
There, the sheer definition of volume of dice is the answer.
Yeah. So Orcs should be a glass cannon faction. And they are competitively, but that's not the mentality that people take with them.
No.
They take them as a Horde faction that is more durable than they are because they still believe in the idea that if I have enough bodies, you don't have enough dice. That's not actually true. But again, they believe that, and that's fine. So the question I am actually posing here is if all the math says Breakaboys are objectively better than Deathwing Knights, and Deathwing Knights are only okay, that means Breakaboys should be crazy and we should up them in points. Similar argument, right? And everyone's like, nah, you're full of shit. Like, you can't do that.
I'm going to tell you right now, I hear people, I hear them
gasp.
I hear them gasp. And I also hear them already preparing their arguments. Yeah, but you didn't calculate the faction rules and you didn't calculate this detachment rule.
I'm telling you, we only have an hour and I have a second topic. I can't go over my whole list of notes. I did compare it. And I'm telling you, there's probably something I missed, but like 80% of what's involved in this, I did compare at some point. My argument is not that Breakaboys need to get more expensive. I'm very happy with their points are. I would actually argue they should get a little cheaper, but don't worry about it. Breakaboys, I think, are actually really good. But if we're going to make that argument, then why not go to Deathwing Knights and say, why are they so expensive? Their damage output is so objectively worse than Breaka Boys, and even if we're paying a premium for their toughness, they're only considered okay right now. They're not considered great. So why are Deathwing Knights so expensive? But no one's actually upset that they're as expensive as they are because, again, they're okay. They're reasonable.
All right, I'm going to propose a challenge live right here, right now for you, okay?
I got my notes.
You said you calculated 80% of things.
Sure.
The one thing that everyone fails to calculate, I want to see if you did, is the faction's player base and their skill levels. Here is the ultimate catch-22. When you look at, and we've had this discussion multiple times, you look at new factions, they come out, they're a new fancy thing, everybody goes, they're busted, and then all the bandwagoners jump on.
Sure.
And then it doesn't work out for them, and they leave, and it's left with the diehards, right? We talk about this all the time. That being said, the diehards are left. Then do we not have to gauge the diehard skill levels in the points in themselves?
Sure. And now, so we have to break that question. I can answer this question, but we got to break it down into like 2 or 3 parts.
And that's totally understandable.
So as we got to start with, we're going to gauge these after the like bandwagoners have come and gone, right? Because if we try to gauge skill level, bandwagoners mess all that up, right? So that's not a fair estimation.
So to give everybody at home a time scale here, because I'm going to give time scales for everything you break down. We're looking at 3 to 6 months after the release of a new faction. This is when our bandwagoners are usually dropping off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, well, DAC is a good example of like, you can bring them back and then again, bandwagoners mess everything up and then they leave again. So we're going to say like 2 or 3 months after orcs. Matter of fact, for orcs, I'm going to try to do my best to explain this as current orcs. While we don't have a ton of analytical data for like the updates, I think the updates had a very big impact to make them way better. But I'm gonna do my best to explain this as if current orcs. I'm also going to do my best to explain this as current Dark Angels, because while they have gotten Wrath of the Rock pseudo recently, I think we've had enough settled down. Plus, we've had enough other distractions in Marines. I think we're back to it.
It's been a roller coaster for them for sure. But okay.
So now that we've made these parameters, orcs in general are more fluff oriented and are more hobby oriented on an average. That's not to say they aren't competitive. That's not to say they don't have good players out there that are dedicated and trying hard.
Absolutely.
But overall, the faction is the most hobby oriented faction in all of 40K. It's the exact reason why they get like the Red Gabo model every year and things like that, right? They are very hobby oriented. Dark Angels players are way less hobby oriented. They had like all their specialty models have extra hobby bits on them with the robes and the hoods and the like things like that, right? But also they're all built in. None of them are modular like they are with orcs. Why? Because they know that doesn't interest the Dark Angels player as much. It doesn't help sell the kit by explaining how modular it is. It does to some degree, but not enough that like GW sees a significant boost in sales because you made like the specialty grot guy separate, even though he's hanging off the edge, so that you could put him on something else. And like, it just doesn't happen. So in general, your average, like your average dedicated, but also average orc player is going to be a little less knowledgeable in the rules, is going to be a little less competitive, is going to be like they're playing orcs, right? So there's an argument to like, they don't go to a tournament thinking, man, I'm going for first. They go to a tournament being like, man, I hope I get top 3. The Dark Angels player, he may actually be less dedicated than the orc player. He might be, but also he is way more likely to show up to the event being like, yeah, there's only like 15 people here. I could totally get first. Like he's trying to aim for a higher goal. None of these are complaints, right? It is totally okay to be the hobbyist. It is totally okay
and it doesn't mean every player fits into these narratives. This is just the general average.
Okay. So as far as skill level is concerned, your average, again, I'm going to keep emphasizing that word, Dark Angels player is going to be slightly more competitive than the average Orc player.
Yep.
Okay. They're also, the factions are arguably have more options, right? Like Marines as a whole have more options. So if something is bad right now, they nerfed indirect fire, they nerfed towering, they nerfed whatever, right? They have more options. They could say, nope, you nerfed my faction. I will just switch to the other part of the codex you haven't nerfed. And while Orcs could do that, they're primarily a melee faction with some shooting aspects. They have way less things to just shift their whole play style. They don't. Like DACA comes out, they're like, oh, we get to use these unplayable shooting units? That seems sweet. And then the minute bandwagoners basically got it nerfed, now they're back to like, well, that was my only like other option. Now I'm back to a bunch of boys in Green Tide, or I get to play a bunch of, you know, like the Warhorde detachment because it's utility and I just get to use whatever data sheets are currently points efficient. Like they just had less options. I think that answers most of your question. We could go a little deeper into that.
And it also answers your question. And this is exactly why I asked it. And to point it all out and full circle it is this. You asked in your question, well, if the Orc bodies are X amount of points and the Dark Angels bodies are X amount of points, well, aren't we paying too much for the Dark Angels? No, you answered it. In that question, you answered it twofold. One, we also have to account for skilled players, the player skill gap for each faction. In two, we also have to account for your faction's options. Marines have a substantial amount of options. So you know what? You are going to pay a little bit more for the things that you have. Why? Because you're paying for the nice thing.
Not even the thing that is that data sheet.
You're right.
You're paying for the fact that if everything was melee, if Dark Angels didn't have access to gladiators and vindicators and like all these other things, they could still tank bust. Literally, I mean, the thing we're talking about has anti-vehicle 4+.
You're right.
You could make these cheap enough to where they could count as tank busting and it would be enough.
Yep.
But also, you're paying a premium for them because you can point efficiently fix the thing that they can't do.
And that is the ultimate kicker. That answers your question in a whole. Why aren't we charging X amount of points less for the Dark Angels? Because you have other options. Whereas Eldar, Orcs, Drukhari, all of these other factions that are glass cannons, they don't.
They have other options.
They do, but they don't have nearly the amount of options that you do as a Space Marine player or even a Knights player. Why am I paying so much for Knights? It basically does the same thing as X amount of guns on your Space Marines. You're right. But also, you got more wounds, your toughness. There's a lot of things here. Your skill level is different than my player's skill level, average player. There's a lot of things to calculate into when balancing a game. It's not just what units look like on paper.
Right. And this is part of why I'm saying two things. One, again, we're going to go back to GW's making point changes based upon what we want, not based upon what is actually balanced.
You're right.
Because if they assumed an equal skill level across the board, again, we would see a reduction in Deathwing Knights. We might also see a reduction in Breakaboys, but we would definitely see a reduction in Deathwing Knights. The other thing is that the internet does not necessarily make choices based upon what is best for the game balance. They get emotional, they get excited, they sensationalize certain things that aren't even what's best. But they convince you it's the best, or they convince you it's not good enough, or things like that, even if that's not true. The game is overall, and I've said this many times, way more balanced than anyone is willing to give it credit for. Again, we're going to touch on this more in the second half. I have a slightly different topic that relates to this, but I think we'll get to that after the mid-break because
we've beat a dead horse on this one.
Yeah.
I just wanted to emphasize and ask the question to get everybody else's brains going, because no one's ever going to ask that question. No one's ever going to ask the skill gap and everything else question, because again, we emotionally invest ourselves in these tiny plastic soldiers and we love our toys. And then we go, well, why doesn't my toy work as well as his toy? And we start to compare emotionally versus physically. So anyway, I think we're ready for a mid-break. What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to go to a mid-break, and when we come back, we got more to talk about with the finger quotes broken meta.
When we come back, I'm going to ruin some people's excitement, is what I'm going to do.
Well, here we are, Chris, in the middle of the episode. Christy Poo.
I'm in the middle of it. You got to give me a minute. I'm square in the middle.
Mm-hmm. So, what do we do in the middle of the episode?
Patrons.
So, we have to thank our patrons, starting with our Guardsman patron, Sergeant Matt's Mini Minute. Man, it just doesn't have the same ring anymore. Then we have to thank our White Shield Guardsman patrons, Mitch, Nicodemus, and Tiberius. And then we have to thank our Several Skulls patron, Captain Beefalo. I love that name. So thank you to our patrons, because without you, we wouldn't have a show. It wouldn't be possible. And thank you to our listeners, because without you, we definitely would just be talking to ourselves in a padded room. We're already nuts. We just have to have an excuse to be nuts.
Listen, if I'm not doing a podcast, I will continue to talk to myself in a padded room, but it's going to change locations, and that's not going to be good for me.
No good. So while we're on the topic of patrons and our listeners, I want to kind of pull back the curtain on some things, and I want to give you, as listeners, some heads up of what's going on. What's the behind the scenes. So if you notice, this episode's audio might be a little different. We're tinkering with some things. We're trying to make the audio better. We are working with what we got for equipment wise. And then we have some good audio equipment like the microphones and things. Other things are a little lacking still, like our switchboard and different behind the scenes components are still a little lacking. This is exactly what Patreon helps us to upgrade and bring more to you. So if you're ever wondering where our dollars go to, like your Patreon dollars and your commercial dollars and all these dollars that we have, it goes to this. It goes back to you. We are upgrading things for you. We're trying to make things better. We're trying to do a lot of cool stuff like behind the scenes content, like extra content, things like that. Like we have our first bat rep is recorded and it is in the current stages of being edited. First bat rep. We're hoping we'll be up by the first week of November. But again, with time constraints and money constraint issues and things like that, we're doing what we can with what we got. But that's what Patreon does. It helps us to get things to you with better quality, better standards, and more of it. So in addition to that, there are other things we give you for Patreon, like almost immediate gratification, right? So we have our server skulls, the general support, like I got $1, here you go, just helping you out, making things better. Then you have our White Shield Guardsman patrons. You hear it every week and you're like, what does this do? Well, it gives you early access to episodes and it gives you voting power. So you can, when we start probably next month, I'd say, or next week even, we'll start putting out polls so that you as listeners can vote on what do you want for an episode? What do you want us to cover? So we can put those out. You'll have exclusive voting power there with that tier. The next one is the Guardsman tier. You get all of the other stuff, plus you get to submit at a Guardsman tier a list once a month for Chris to have to review. So he can, you're basically getting a coach at a Guardsman tier for like $30 a month. In addition to like all the good stuff, all the commercial free access, all the voting power to get like direct help with the things you want or feedback on the things in the game. You're also getting a review of your competitive list once per month. That's actually huge. There is a lot of dollars sunk into 40K coaching. That's effectively what Chris is offering for almost nothing. That's nice. I like that. So then you have the Commissar. It's everything from before, plus Chris will actually physically test and build your list. So we can give you actual like feedback about how this actively, like the thing you thought would work. We can give you actual feedback on the actual like bat reps of how it actually worked. Not what you thought would work, how it actually worked. Just the list goes on. All of these things, we're not just saying, hey, give us money so we can do better things. We're actually giving things immediate gratifications in return to show you, hey, we're doing things for you. That's what Patreon does. And if you can't afford Patreon, that's fine. Just listening to the ads is help on its own too. So yeah, that's all I wanted. That's all the things I had. I wanted to let you know what all your dollars are going to and how you can help. I need a new coffee machine. I'm equipment too.
Ain't that the truth?
Chris says no. Chris,
you don't get a new coffee machine. You just have to stop spilling it on my floor.
I blame the coffee machine.
The reality is we're doing pretty well. Mm-hmm. Also, we're doing the best we can. And we totally acknowledge that there's areas where we could do better.
Yep.
And I apologize. I want to do better. Also, unfortunately, we have some limitations, mostly due to dollars. Also time, but that's time is money. Anyway, we're not doing math in this segment. We would love all the help you guys can offer. Again, even if it's just, if literally everyone that listened to this, and I know I've said this before, did the $1 tier, we would be able to afford the new switchboard. Mm-hmm. If everyone did $1 that listened to this one episode for 1 month, that would be enough. That's all I need. Right. And immediately everyone gets better quality. Like it saves us time on editing because it's a better quality, which means we have a chance to get to the editing of the battle reports and get more of those out. Again, there's a lot that goes into doing this stuff. It's not cheap. Not that anything is cheap nowadays, but especially not this stuff with the expensive equipment, and understanding how it all works and things like that. Anyway, as we continue on, we also have for this here mid-break and our plugs, if Patreon isn't a thing you want to do, or even if it is a thing you do, we do run a store. We do discount GW stuff. As recently, we just did a major Black Library restock. We are, in fact, a Black Library stockist. Now, Black Library is printed in a confusing manner as far as quantities are concerned.
You're right.
I don't understand how it works exactly, but I do know that there's not a lot of places that stock it well.
No.
And while I don't have access to all of Black Library, because even Black Library doesn't have access to all of Black Library, we did do a giant restock. And I have, including actual GW stores, I have never been to another game store that has as many books on the shelf as we do. So,
as almost the third party in this whole thing, I will second that motion. I have been to countless, and I mean countless, worldwide game stores. And no one even comes close to the amount of Black Library that we have here.
Yep. Again, we go as wide as we can, but we're limited on that by what GW has in stock. But we also go deep on it. Every time I order a book, it's like 3 or more of that same book, so that it's not, I have to restock every week. It's so that when I sell a book, I still have another one. And all of those are still 15% off as well. So if you're interested in the lore, if you're interested in Black Library and things like that, please feel free to check out the website. I've got a ton of stuff. I have a few hardbacks, but for those of you that don't know, the initial release of a book is always in hardback. And those books are extremely underprinted. When they do a air quotes restock, I mean new release of that same book in paperback, that's when stores are actually allowed to stock up on things. So I have a couple of hardbacks, but the reality is it's almost all paperback. If there's a new book, we do put them up for pre-order. But again, we get allocated really hard because it's probably in hardback. Those are kind of a first come, first grab sort of thing. But again, we got a ton of books. Come check them out.
And that's it for our mid-break, right?
Sure is.
Go to gophermafia.com and save yourself 15% off all GW stuff. Go do it now. Go. All right. Mid-break's over. Go to the good. All right, Chris. We did the mid-break. You ready for the fun of ruining everyone's hopes and dreams like you always do?
Yup.
I swear, you're the 40K Grinch.
I don't remember what the joke was the other day, but we were talking about it. And I was like, when you think of like famous Christmas characters, it's like Santa Claus, and then like shortly down the list, I mean like top of the list, Scrooge. That's me. There's that bah humbug. All right. You kids and you're having fun. Would you quiet down and get off my lawn that's covered in snow?
40K Scrooge.
Yeah. But it's about covering facts, right? Like I have opinions, and 9 times out of 10, I try not to give my opinion. Like when we do Codex reviews, I give my opinion to some degree, but I talk about like, here's what I would play, but also here's what I think is competitive, regardless of what I would play. And I try to give mostly facts. I'm going to give you some facts here, but then I'm going to take those facts and I'm going to give you one of my opinions that no one's happy about. So we're going to start by generically taking a look at some competitive play.
Is this suppressors are good?
You wish. No, suppressors are amazing. That's a fact. I'll create a meta. I swear to God, it's the best. Anyway,
It's
not what we're talking about today.
If we got time at the end of the episode, I'm gonna tell a story about suppressors and you. But go ahead.
No, we're not. That's not what we're talking about today. So, in general, recently we've had a lot of new detachments, new characters, and new tricks that people are finding, whether they were kind of already available or whether there's a slightly different take that people are thinking makes it more competitive. The internet loves to sensationalize maximum damage potential. It doesn't matter if it's inconsistent. It doesn't matter if it's not very good. One of the best examples is recently people have been talking about the million attack Space Marine captain.
Oh God.
Right? It's once per game, the captain gets 3 extra attacks. And then I take the Blade Guard Ancient and give him an extra attack. And then I take the enhancement that gives him an extra attack. And then like, it's actually 2 extra attacks. And like, you're right. You could get a captain with a power fist and give him a just mountain of attacks for a single model. And everyone is so excited about that. I've had more than one person talk to me like, yeah, that's super good. It's like an 80-point model that does 1 million attacks. And
didn't we just do this with Blood Angels?
But it's not 80 points, right? It's 80 points plus the unit it's in, plus the other character, plus the enhancement, plus the second enhancement, plus the like. It's not. And while this sounds super cool and it's super exciting, if we look at competitive play, as I mentioned earlier in the episode, after everything settles, after everyone gets over the hype of a brand new codex, and what does it always end up being that's considered competitive? It's based upon durability. Yes, you need damage output, but also unless you're a glass cannon faction like GSC or Eldar, things like that, and even then, they're borderline skew list, right? Like sometimes they look amazing and sometimes they get some bad matchups and they suck and die. Your average faction that does well across the board I don't care what's going on in the meta. They're just good. Almost all of them are based upon durability. Necrons, like this whole edition, Necrons have either been top tier or like just below them. They've never been like garbage. And what do Necrons have over almost every other faction? More durability. They got monsters with half damage. They got invols out the yang. They got regenerating wounds as a faction-wide rule.
It's not even like, okay, I'm gonna quickly piggyback this so you can get back to your points. But we had the same discussion almost a year ago now with Blood Angels when the captain came out and they were like, oh, the Blood Angels captain can do this and you get sustained 3 and all this other jazz and oh my god, it's overpowered. Okay, but by the time it was done and we discussed it and a few competitive players took it, they all said the same thing that me and Chris were already screaming. Why would you even bother? I am paying so many points for a delivery system for a Super Saiyan captain who gets to do it once, where I can have a more consistent and more durable captain in a sanguinary guard unit. He's more consistent with his damage, he's more durable with it, and the delivery system's more durable. Why wouldn't I have that? And you know what everybody started doing? Captains with sanguinary guard. It's the same argument. I understand it's the fun thing, and I'm not saying don't do the fun thing. What I'm saying is don't try to pretend the fun thing is competitive. It's
fun to get excited about.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
that's the reason I use the word sensationalize, because it is exciting, it is new, it is unique, it is interesting to talk about, but also because the internet as a whole kind of blurs this line between excitement and arguing that it's actually good in the math is where it gets to be not very good. There's plenty of people that, especially with the new Space Marine captain, they talk about like, oh, it's this many attacks and it's this strength and it's this AP and it's this damage. And then they never really talk about like, yeah, but what are like after rolling to hit, how many do you drop? Well, it's Space Marines. So they assume you barely drop any, right? Because you're probably targeting the Oath target.
With Oath and yep.
But if you target it with Oath to make this Super Saiyan captain that you've already invested so much in to make good, what all your other vehicles, all your other dreadnoughts, none of them get to benefit from Oath. You had to basically select an Oath target, spend your entire shooting phase as a Marine saying, I don't want it. Why? Because this captain is going to go in and use a bunch of once per game stuff combined with Oath that I had to give up for the rest of my whole faction in order to probably make him look really cool and totally wipe that thing out. Well, why? Like, again, we could have just been more consistent.
I can't wait till we get video. I can't wait till we get video so they can see your face with that.
Like, again, you could have Oath that same thing, sent a couple of Redemptor dreadnoughts at it, and it would have been slightly cheaper and more consistent.
You're right.
And not once per game. Again, it's emotional. It's exciting. It's cool to talk about. But the reality of it is you're giving up more than you realize. I struggle to talk with people about how efficient certain Marine things are because every time you have a discussion that isn't the middle of the game, there's always an assumption, but that's the Oath target. Okay, but how is every conversation assuming that we're only fighting the Oath target? What happens when there's other things that need the Oath?
I think I'm the only one who actually presented the argument to you and actually with the whole Oath thing, and you were actually like, okay, that makes sense. And that was with the JPI and the Blood Angels. We were arguing about how I would make sure whatever they're fighting is Oath. And you were like, no, that makes sense.
But see that
if it's a tough thing.
Right. But that only makes sense to me because
of my
looking
list.
At your list,
you're right.
Your tank busting comes with innate rerolls. So you don't really need to Oath the thing that the gladiators are shooting at. The other melee things that are in your list are hitting on 2s already, so they don't really need the oath.
Yep.
The other melee things are a knight that couldn't benefit from the oath. Like, okay, now that you say that it's probably the oath target is whatever the JPIs go.
It doesn't help anything else. You're right.
That makes sense because at least now we acknowledge that we're not taking oath away from other things. It's that we're putting oath to the place where it makes the most sense.
But this is why I say I think I'm the only one who's ever been able to make that argument. And it's because it still made sense. I wasn't discounting anything else in my faction or my army, I should say. And nothing else on my list was really going to benefit from it. But that's what it comes back to.
Sure. And I want to get back to, it's not about Blood Angels. It's not about these specific things. It's about, again, everyone likes the idea of maximum potential.
Yep.
And that's what gets people excited. But since we're talking about competitive play here, because that's like what we're trying to help, teach everybody, that level of excitement, while it's fun, is not what's going to win you events. What's going to and there's, again, a bunch of information on the internet that shows you, if you pick out the glass cannon factions and look at the rest of them, unless it's directly after a new codex release, the majority of winners have very durable lists. So with that in mind, we're going to go over part of the reason durability is so important is because the entire game is built around board control. The whole game is board control, period. But there are sub factors in how you get that board control. So the first one is durability, right? I have board control because I stand on the circle longer. You cannot go past me. I'm screening you out because I am so tough. Yep. You had to dedicate your tanks to kill me. You couldn't just walk past me and ignore me. That's one option for board control's durability. And it's not that you're only going to use one of these, but you're going to use a factor of these. Mm-hmm. The next is mobility.
Yep.
So for example, your Blood Angels, arguably less durable because you have toughness 4 kind of across the board. But you have good board control because you're so mobile.
Yep.
At any time, you can pin them in their deployment zone because you're fast enough to do it. At any time, you could attempt turn 1 charges because you're fast enough to do it. So you could gain board control in mobility. The next one is damage output. These are usually gunline factions, but also there are non-gunline factions like World Eaters that do this as well. If I can outkill you in tank busting, I can outkill you in elite busting, I can board control you because I can control how much OC you have, or I can control whether or not you're standing on the circles, things like that. The fourth factor is OC. You could out OC them. There are factions that do this, right? I'm playing, I don't want to say Marines, but there are other factions where you're I've got 3 OC a model for my battle line unit. There's no way you could out OC me. Or I'm playing Guard. I got 2 OC a model, and I've got some of the cheapest models in the game. I'm definitely out OCing you. That's another version of board control. I'm scoring points, you're not, because I'm out OCing you. It's about board control. There is one other factor that is involved that isn't board control, that is involved in winning games, and it's action efficiency. Of the 5 things that win you game, action efficiency and the other 4 are basically, if we boil it down, a part of board control. It's just how do you get that board control? Okay, so this is generalized information that I wanted to put out there. So now, switching sheets, I have some more information where I get to ruin everybody's day. Everyone's excited about some of the new detachments and new characters. I didn't math this one out, but also a lot of people got a little too excited about Imperial Fists.
You're right.
Out, Lysander, if we only look at his data sheet, is amazing. When you look at the rest of his list, you look at the detachment, you look at the things like that, he's just not good enough. We even had one of our competitive guys put together an Imperial Fist list, and he's I can't seem to make the list work, but I feel like his data sheet's so good, and the detachment has some things good about it. It has to be good in some way, and he played against me. he was kind of upset. We played 2 turns and 3 turns, I think. I think we played 3 turns. I basically tabled him and he killed like 1 full unit and wounded a bunch of others. He had a bad day. And I'm not saying the dice weren't involved in that and things like that, but also he got very excited about that. And it just, Darnath just isn't good enough. He is good by himself. Mm-hmm. The things that he obligates, that detachment, the, currently Terminators that have to be attached to him because you can't run him by himself. It's just not worth it. They're just too expensive and like they're not quite good enough. And he's not good. Now, here's the thing that I actually want to compare. Canik Var. Objectively, Iron Hands got the best version of First Company. Yes, I'm upset that it's like the 16th version of the First Company. Why did we get that? Little annoyed. Whatever. It is the best version of First Company, period. Canik Var, on his data sheet, pretty reasonable. I won't say crazy, but is pretty reasonable. He's got good support things. They're varied with the redeploy and the scout and then the lethals or sustained. And like, he is good as a generic captain. He's only 100 points, which makes him reasonably costed. No complaints. His detachment, again, First Company, bad. But First Company where everything also gains Dreadnought, already better. First Company where you get Double Oath. Holy cow. Double Oath combined with reroll 1s to wound on the Oath target. That's already really good. Okay, maybe we're getting somewhere. Here's some math for you. He's 100 points. If you take a minimum squad of Assault Terminators, that's another 180 points. That's 280. If you take what most other people are taking, a full brick of Terminators.
Yep.
Regular Terminators, to be fair, because they like the sustained. That's an additional 340 points, which makes the brick 530. Maybe even more, right? Because maybe you also put an Ancient in there to give him the enhancement to do a thing. Or like, holy cow, that's a lot of points. Is he actually reasonably costed? Because he ain't 100 points. He's a minimum 280. He's probably more, right? Because people are running 10 bricks. People are running 10 bricks plus an additional character, plus an enhancement. Like,
yep.
There ain't no way he's cheap. So we're going to compare him to the most comparable unit to him, which is Guilliman. Guilliman is 340 points. He gets Double Oath. We can have a bunch of arguments here about how some are, one oath is better than the other. The Guilliman's Double Oath is objectively better because he doesn't require line of sight. He doesn't require himself to expose himself. Even when he does expose himself, he's got lone op. He's a Primarch, so he's got way higher toughness. He has the ability to come back after he dies. He's crazy. Again, we can make arguments about how Canik Var is better. You could say Canik Var's Oath is technically better because you get to select the second Oath target after the first one dies, so you have more information about the board when you select it. I'm on board. You could also make the argument that while he's with a brick of Terminators, now you have damage breaks. So while he is technically less tough, they are more tough in that they net more wounds, and also they have damage breaks, which requires a minimum X more dice. You can't just one-shot him with a crazy Shadow Sword or something, right? Like, okay, fair. But while we could go back and forth on these different things, the biggest point here is that Canik Var is so limited. He is obligated to the detachment that gives him Double Oath. Not because we're comparing him to Guilliman, but because without the Double Oath, I don't think Canik Var is good enough. We already talked about how he's potentially, his unit is 530 plus points. You can't spend 530 points or more on a unit and it not be the maximum potential good that it could be. That's just way too expensive.
That is literally a knight.
That's more than a knight.
You're right.
That's a knight and a armiger together. That's a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
Guilliman is 340. Here's a great comparison. You could have Guilliman for an arguably better oath, for an arguably scarier model, not only because I think it lives longer with lone op, etc., and coming back from death, but also because I'm going to argue Guilliman does way more work in melee, way more damage. Even if we include all the Terminators with Kanagvar, with lethals, and we assume that like all 5 are alive the whole time, you're still talking about Guilliman just kills tanks better. He just does. So now you factor all of this in, and then you know what Guilliman has? He has about 8 detachments he could choose from. He gets the double oath, and he's not limited to mediocre strats that only target specific units plus dreadnought. And like, he doesn't require a build around of you have to have all of these other things. Otherwise, your strats basically don't exist. You want to give your whole army advance and charge once per turn? You want to give your whole army advance and charge the whole damn game? You want to take almost infinite rerolls? Take Ironstorm, sure, why not? You could arguably take Guilliman, run Ironstorm, and then be more on theme in your list to Iron Hands than an actual Iron Hands list would with Kanagvar. Kanagvar is so close to good. I understand why everyone's excited. If we take a step back and stop looking at the fact that he's new and shiny, competitively, everyone who's playing the Kanagvar detachment is doing it because they wanted to play Iron Hands. They're doing it because they wanted to play the new model. Competitively, whatever your list is, you drop Kanagvar, 5 Assault Terminators, and an ATV, and you get Guilliman. And now you can take whatever detachment you want, getting objectively better stratagems, and your list is objectively better. This is the math, man. I haven't even talked about the fact that like Kanagvar and boys are moving 5 inches. There's no way to give them advance and charge. That's worth it, right? Mm-hmm. Guilliman already moves faster on his own flat data sheet. He has a better chance at making the charge. Then you could give advance and charge in like 3 different detachments.
Listen, if you want to make people mad, just tell them the Gladiator detachment you made for White Scars. That's how you make people mad.
First off, I'm okay. I don't want to get into Gladiator's detachment. I have strong feelings about it. And no, the answer is a strong feeling is not that it's the best. I disagree with the internet. It is good. It is arguably even great. It is not the best. We'll talk about that another time.
I hear what you're saying. This just all of this. I mean, about the thing that happened behind the scenes. You made a White Scars list for me, but all of this being said, I just want to throw my hat in the ring here and say, while you're throwing your hands up and you're saying, because I too do this to Chris all the time, you're just not thinking of X, Y, and Z, and this is you can do that, but at the end of it, Chris is going to prove his point, and his point is going to be more than likely the more competitive choice. And I hate to admit it. I hate so much to admit it, because there was a time where I was like, I got to take Dante. Dante's so great. You know who's not great? Dante. There are so many things. I want to take the White Scars named character who moves on foot. And you know what? There's not really a reason to take him.
I put him in one of your lists.
You put him in one. But again, it was still more of a, I did it because you wanted him, not because it was the competitively correct choice. All of this boils down to the reason I asked Chris's advice. And the reason most people ask your advice is because you make the arguably the most competitive choice. That's why. We ask your advice because you make the more competitive choice.
Even when people ask me questions, I always start with,
what do you want to do?
Correct. Because the reality is, if you're like, no, I love Iron Hands, or this new model is the greatest model I've ever seen, okay, that's fine. And you can run him. And there's an argument, and I've said this many times, you can pick 2-3 things to be stubborn about. Yep. I don't care if they're not the most competitive. The game is so balanced. Pick 2 or 3 things that you can actively say aren't competitive, but it's what I want to do. And then you put in a little extra work, and you absolutely can be just as competitive as everyone else.
I've done
and
twice.
That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
If you decide Canik VAR is the sweetest thing, and I love Terminators, I've always loved Terminators, go for it, man. I put together an Iron Hands list with Canik VAR to test this out. Played it last night. And you know what? It was decent. Matter of fact, I kind of rocked the socks off the person I played against. And the whole time, I was fully aware of, if I had Gilliman, I'd probably be winning harder. I was playing against Knights. I had a bucket, not one, but 2 buckets of Blade Guard going against a full Knight list. I could care less. It was fine. I think he was tabled by the end of turn 3. He had 1 big Knight at full health and 1 big Knight with a single wound left at the top of turn 3.
But this rotates exactly into what you've been saying since the beginning of this podcast. Just everything since the beginning of me knowing you.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want and make it competitive.
Absolutely.
As long as you are willing to put the work in to do it.
Yep. And again, for those that think I haven't thought about a thing, I'm telling you in my notes here, I have what are units that Gilliman can support that Canik VAR can't? What does Canik VAR support better than Gilliman? And I've got it all laid out. I've got absolutely, there are things that Canik VAR is technically better at than Gilliman. But it's not about, is there a thing that Canik VAR does better? It's about, of all the things that Canik VAR does, of all the things that Gilliman does, because you don't know who you're going to play against. You're going to go to an event, and this week, round 1 is GSC, and next week, I'll never see GSC the whole weekend. You have to be able to deal with everything. So if you're dealing with everything, 9 times out of 10, Gilliman's going to have the advantage. And if 9 out of 10 games playing Gilliman over Canik VAR gives you a distinct advantage that you would not have otherwise, even if you play 1 game where Canik VAR technically is better than Gilliman, does it matter? Is it worth it?
Nope.
Again, if that's the thing you love, if I love Iron Hands and I'm an Iron Hands player and I'm super loyal to them and my favorite Primarch is Ferrus Manus and I've read every Iron Hands book, even the books that were there like the support characters, I got no problems with him. Have a blast. He is objectively better than Iron Hands or the Imperial Fist guy, Lysander. He's objectively better. No questions asked. So I'm not going to tell you don't play him, but also the number of people that literally, we had a guy who was playing Iron Hands before, way back, and then he switched to Ultramarines. And now with these guys coming out, he switched back to Iron Hands. If he's doing that because he loves Iron Hands, no complaints. But is he doing that because he loves Iron Hands, or is he doing it because he's like, well, Iron Hands do the same thing Gilliman does, but I think it's better because it's the new shiny thing.
Yep.
Well, it is the new shiny thing, but is it better? In this one case, yes. In the rest of the cases, not really. So, again, I understand new shiny models. I understand new exciting detachments that are different and interesting, and we want to try them out. And I'm telling you right now, you should try them out. You should learn from them. Play the thing, see what's good or bad about it, and learn from that. Absolutely do that. But the reality is, the new Imperial Fist detachment, the new Iron Hands detachment, I kind of think they're unplayable. Not unplayable as you can't play them. Unplayable as in you could just play Gilliman and do better. As far as Lysander, play Lysander, but also, do you really want to take a detachment where his specific unit gets advanced in charge and that feels really good, but all the strats are kind of eh? Or do you just play the advanced in charge detachment and then have way more flexible options for supporting him and his squad?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even saying don't play Lysander. I'm just saying the new detachment isn't good enough. I'm saying right now, I'm hoping, don't know this at all, with the new Crux box, I'm hoping we'll get some updated Terminator data sheets. But also another thing that I believe, and this is partly influencing my decision here, I will totally admit, but again, it's influencing my decision based upon the numbers and the math. I don't think Terminators as a whole are all that playable. I think there's two times where Terminators are the right answer, and it's still in a limited fashion. Deathwing Knights, the first unit, not spamming, the first unit you can support properly with enhancements and characters. Very efficient. I love it. The minute you take a second unit, it's not that it's bad or that it's unplayable. It's that you've lost efficiency pretty hard. The second time is Deathwatch Terminators. You want a shooting unit that actually does a shooting unit thing, but is a Terminator? All the other Terminators and all the Stormbolters in the world, don't do it. It's still not worth it. Stormbolter, a 10 brick of Stormbolters with sustained hits because you have Canic Bar. I don't care. It's not worth it. It's too expensive for what you're doing. They're all strength 4, AP 0, 1 damage. It's not good enough. Deathwatch Terminators, you get extra Cyclone missiles for cheap. Nice 5-man squad, double the number of Cyclone missiles. Now that's efficient. And the third one, I'll give a third one. The third one is specifically Chaos Terminators.
Ah, yes.
And it's not even because they're crazy. It's because they get proper support at an efficient price. For the same price as all the other Terminators in the game, they have Dark Packs. They can give themselves Oath without taking Oath away from anyone else.
You're right.
That's on top of sustained hits and lethal hits. And that's on top of they can be attached to Abaddon. That man's crazy.
That's
right?
Scary.
Right? Like, again, they have really efficient support.
Being attached to a tough guy.
Right. But again, it's all about they have efficient support. So it's not even that they're cheap enough to be good. It's that they are cheap enough with appropriately cheap support to justify their price. Again, this is all based upon like the efficiency of the unit, not based upon is the data sheet good or bad. Any data sheet, I don't care how terrible it is. If it's cheap enough, it's good. Any data sheet can be 1,000,000 points. I don't care. Still good if the rules are good enough. But it's finding that efficiency that makes it competitive. That's what I've got.
Well, I think that's it for today's episode.
It sure is.
We really hit home the basic essentials of what this game is. Play what you want to play, but if you're going to do it competitively, be prepared to make some competitive choices. That's the answer for part 2. Part 1 of this episode was don't get so wrapped up on what the internet says is great. Make some educated decisions on your own and don't let emotions guide you. That's it.
They go hand in hand.
You're right. They do. They absolutely do. So on that note, we're going to leave you with these thoughts, let you ponder them for the next week. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Bye. Hey, everybody. It's Aaron. I want to thank you again for tuning in for this episode of Gopher's Workshop with us, hanging out and listening. Remember, leave a 5-star review. Let us know what you think. And if you feel like supporting us, you can always go to Patreon in the show notes below. Thanks. Till next time.